According to our sources, the attacks were aimed at catching the attention of a man whose identity remains unknown. This dangerous new guy in town seems to have his eye on doing business in old Detroit.
It's no secret that crime has been on the rise ever since what the media has named the new guy in town showed up in the city.
Stay the fuck away. You can't touch me. I do business with the new guy.
You're more than just circuits, Murphy. Underneath all that metal, there's still you.
We would never put a defective product on the streets. That's not what we do.
We all saw it hesitate in a life and death situation.
What are your prime directives?
Serve the public trust, protect the innocent, uphold the law.
Robocop Rogue City is a beam of light in the darkness of current gaming, an industry that has been impacted negatively by political correctness and woke culture. This game takes us back to the 80s where things can be gritty and raw without being afraid of offending anyone. Instead, it tries to be as faithful to the source material as possible, giving it a feel of passion and authenticity.
This heat is just too much.
We must keep going.
Rogue City is a movie-based game that actually makes you feel like Robocop. The whole game is based around you being a detective in the Detroit Police Department after the events of the second movie, capturing the feel and comedic tone that characterize the franchise.
Fixed. Don't hold your breath. OCP isn't looking to spend a dime on our equipment.
What seems to be the problem?
My damn locker won't open. Can you try? Wait, what is all this shit doing in my locker?
We wanted you to be safe out there.
Yeah, you guys, very funny.
Take the spot on the podium. You're a lifesaver, Robo.
This line is open. Please form an orderly queue.
Officer, I have a problem. My neighbors are hostile toward me. I think it's because they're jealous of my new dog. Why would they get so worked up every time I take him for a walk?
What is his name?
He has a beautiful red coat, so I called him Fire. He likes to hide, so sometimes I have to yell, "Fire! Fire!" to find him. Anyway, can you do something about my neighbors?
No, but I will let you off with a warning.
A straight satire about a dystopian future where OCP Corporation takes control of the now privatized police force. Alex Murphy, an officer in duty, gets murdered by a gang of criminals, making OCP take the opportunity to revive him as Robocop. There's a lot of attention to detail and love for the franchise, which reminds me of other projects where the team behind them wanted to create something worthy of the source material. So much so that the original actors got involved for the voice acting, like in Ghostbusters, the video game, or Back to the Future, the game from Telltale, with Rogue City not being an exception. Along the course of the game, you'll get to interact with many returning characters, like Murphy's trusted friend and partner Anne Lewis, the chief of police, Sergeant Reed, the old man, and some new faces, like Ulysses, a young aspiring cop who wants to prove himself while keeping the family tradition of being a police officer. You will also get visit iconic locations like the abandoned steel mill where Murphy gets killed, which are quite solid recreations of the original sets. Rogue City is not a revolutionary game by any means. It doesn't try to reinvent genres or break new ground. Instead, it takes polished elements from different games and adapts them to the world of Robocop, making it feel seamless to the original movies. As any good joke, what matters is the delivery, and boy does this one deliver.
What?
Is this Maurice?
Listen, man, I'm really swamped with the laundry right now, so make it quick.
Could you advise me how a person who would like to try Nuke should go about it?
You're hoping to get your first bag for free? No way! I'm selling at half price anyway! But wait, your voice. You sound like...
A future happy customer.
Listen, guys, I'll never touch your stuff again, I swear!
That's not why we're here.
So what do you want? The money? I have your money.
You only have half of it, and that's the problem.
You're selling our product at half price. That makes my customers complain about my prices.
It ain't nice, Maurice!
Maybe you think that building a customer base by selling your product under its manufacturing costs is a good idea.
Under what?
But it's not. Such practices are spoiling the market.
It's been proven time and time again that such action leads to a reduction of future demand, yours included. Antitrust laws are there for a reason.
Shit, Maurice! All we want to say is that you violate the basic rules of the market with your predatory pricing. We can't just go along with that.
It's unfair and unethical!
Not to mention illegal.
The fuck?
You are under arrest. Come quietly, or this may be the last economics discussion you will ever have.
All the usual game UI elements are disguised under the main HUD, which gives you all the information you need and that you've seen in the movies, which really helps on the immersion that you are actually playing as Robocop. There are a lot of gameplay decisions in this game that have been made by staying true to the original concept of the main character, a heavy chunk of bipedal metal machinery. Robocop has never been agile. He is as stiff as it gets, which is what makes Peter Wheeler's performance in the movie so remarkable. Developers took a gamble by staying away from modern trends of fast-paced games and actually went against the grain by remaining true to the original material and making Robocop a slow-moving tank like in the movies, and compensating by amazing sound design that makes you feel the weight of every footstep you take.
Holy shit, what was that?
Robocop. Not such a piece of junk after all.
This game doesn't hold your hand either. In fact, when you start the game, you're just thrown into the action, which is quite refreshing in a world where every game puts you through a tutorial around keybinds. I wish more games were like this. Although later in the game, you get introduced to every new special enemy by a small cinematic that I didn't really like. I think they should have just stayed 100% out of the tutorials being part of the regular gameplay. The level design is pretty straightforward, consisting of individual stages of varying sizes and a small open world map of downtown Detroit. The instance levels give you a lot of variety, as they are composed of different key buildings or locations from the city, which along the small sandbox keep the game fresh. The scenery is handcrafted and well detailed, making each of these stages feel different, popping up that dystopian 80s cyberpunk. I found some minor problems with the pacing of some missions, like for example the opening scene at the news station. There's a sense of urgency of rescuing the hostages as soon as possible, but the game penalizes your XP if you don't take your time and check every corner of the maps to get the evidence, or find hidden doors to complete side objectives that don't add anything to the experience. At least for me, they took me off the scenes and made me aware that I'm playing a video game. At the end of each chapter, your performance gets rated depending on how much you explored, which I really dislike, as it shows how much XP you lost for not running around empty rooms doing nothing but chasing for evidence and doing police work. The RPG elements are basic, with 8 skill lines and pistol modification options. There is a progression in the strength of your character from the start to finish, where you do feel much more powerful as you get closer to the end. Every skill point makes a difference while having enough of them that you can't go wrong with whatever build you choose. You can pick up weapons at any time from the enemies, but your main weapon will always be your signature burst pistol, which you can modify through the Omniboard system. Basically, you pick up boards along the game that let you make different modifications based on the one you select. The problem with this minigame is that it's never exciting because every new bigger board will always be better, making the progression linear and the whole customization part feel lackluster. You can do a few selections here and there, like adding more gore or rapid reload. Upgrading it does increase your power. The problem is that this system could have been simplified to be something less cumbersome. It just feels like the developers wanted to be a system where you swap boards depending on the situation, but as it is, it doesn't really seem to matter or add any depth into the game, as it doesn't feel you have an option. The game runs in Unreal Engine 5 and requires a bit better specs than my PC has. To be honest, this is the first time I had problems with my rig not meeting the minimum requirements, and I felt it. The game lagged sometimes on my machine depending on the map, which some seem to work better than others. Weirdly enough, the big sandbox stage ran smoothly all the time, but some of the smaller instance maps dropped frames considerably. Despite this problem, it never made the game unplayable, just distracting. So if you have a modest PC like me, check the minimum requirements in the description of this video. The difficulty options of the game feel balanced. I played it on hard settings on my first playthrough, and except for the first time I faced R209, the game was never too hard but challenging enough for a veteran player to keep engaged. After you finish the game, you get the option to restart and change the difficulty while keeping your gain XP, which gives the game some replayability. I finished the game in around 20 hours, which I actually appreciate a lot. I like games that respect my time, and there are a lot of games out there that overextend their welcome by artificially extending the amount of time it takes to beat them to justify a price tag, pretty common around the AAA industry. While at some point I felt like I was in the end of the Lord of the Rings movies with the ending after ending sequence, I like that they left no loose ends, making it feel worthy as another Robocop story. A couple of side quests felt like chores to extend the playtime, but to be fair, they are well integrated into the world, dialogue, and the NPCs to the point that they didn't bother me, as they made me interact and get to know some of the side characters. This being a game based on nostalgia franchise, the atmosphere takes a very important role in the decision making. In Rogue City, some of the locations have been carefully recreated from the movies, really bringing up that feeling of nostalgia and putting you up there in the world of Robocop. Added to the nicely recreated settings, there's also a lot of reference to the details from the movies, like the ridiculously inefficient 6000 SUX luxury car, the Sunblock 5000, and many more that you'll find while walking around Detroit downtown. As mentioned with the reference, the humor is all there. This game is very funny with its satire and made me laugh more than I thought it would. I found myself paying attention to the NPCs' dialogues and laughing at their remarks or comments about the situations happening around them. One of my favorite details in the game is the fact that the NPCs are usually having conversations about the city, their lives, or something referencing the events that have or will transpire, giving the city a feel that it's actually alive. Their dialogue is also very well written and usually filled with lots of humor, keeping that Robocop satire feel authentic.
We're just sitting here enjoying the moment, nothing suspicious. Right, officer?
Shouldn't we give the fellas the signal?
We should just shut up and smile like the exemplary citizens that we are.
The autosave feature, while I don't think it's perfect, it doesn't offer a real cue of when the game saved, so it's difficult to tell when you can actually close the game. Still works for me, as it didn't allow me to save scum to make a perfect run, which did make an impact on me whenever I failed a side objective like saving a hostage or reflect on my mistakes, encouraging me to play the game some other time. I really like the game music. The soundtrack includes a couple of variations of the original theme song, a few combat songs that change depending on the locations you're fighting, and a couple of catchy rock songs that fit the setting and are actually attached to the story of the game. I especially love the song Nuke, based on the drug that riddles the city of Detroit in Robocop 2. I'll leave a link to the OST in the description in case you want to give it a listen. Robocop gets real character development as he goes under a lot of situations during the course of the game that you have to resolve, giving you strength to face the final chapters of the game. This is called an arc, and it helps making the experience feel more cinematic, showing that one of the best parts of Rogue City is the writing. I won't give away the story, but overcoming all these problems made me feel like I played a sequel to the original movies.
We've been looking for the lady ever since, but she's vanished into thin air.
Robocop Rogue City is a AA mid-budget game, and while that shows sometimes, the love for the game and the franchise overcomes any corners they cut. The game can be finished casually in around 20 hours, but there's enough there for an immediate second playthrough. Although this game has so much soul that I know I'll be revisiting every now and then throughout the years. With some AAA games nowadays stretching their limited gameplay to force you to play around 100 hours to finish it, I would rather play 5 high-quality short games like this one instead of those that never seem to end. The game is available DRM-free on GOG. It's also available on Steam and Epic Store. I bought the Alex Murphy edition, which includes an armor and a weapon skin and an extra shotgun, but in my opinion, these are extras that don't really add much to the game unless you are a really hardcore fan and you want some variety on an extra playthrough. The shotgun does help a bit on the early levels, but you will totally be fine without it. This game frequently goes around 60% discount on all platforms, so I recommend you wait until it shows up there. I bought my copy for around $15, but the standard edition is an amazing value for around $13. As long as you're aware of the somewhat steep system requirements and the game less than perfect optimization, this game is totally worth the price at discount. Make sure you buy it on GOG or Steam, where you won't have problems returning it in case it doesn't run to your liking on your system. With that said, this is one of the best movie franchise-based games I've ever played, and it really hit all the right spots for me. I highly recommend this game for all of you Robocop 1 and Robocop 2 movie fans out there. Have a good one, and I'll see you on the next.
Is he going to arrest me?
No, it's your first offense. So he'll
let you off with a warning. Right?
Right.